never be a memory.
And what's going on, Read My Lips people? We are back. So, Yang is not playing around. He's had it up to here with the DNC. He called them out. Andrew Yang called out the DNC, and rightfully so. Look, it is no surprise to anybody that the DNC is just as corrupt as some of the most corrupt politicians we see walking about in the Republican Party. It's just factual. It is what it is. I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but let's call a spade a spade. I mean, that's why Nancy Pelosi needs to step down. She's been into politics before a lot of the people even watching this channel were even born, and that's fine. If you made a career out of it, it's fine. But we can't argue that some of these old heads that are in here need to move over for the younger generation with new, brighter, and innovative ideas like we do so when we talk about Yang, but then be like, yeah, it's fine, let's leave Pelosi a pass. No, she's got to go too. The old guard has to go. And, the DNC is just corrupt. You really saw that open wound that is the DNC when they literally screwed Bernie Sanders in 2016. That's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to go, and it was just ugly. It was ugly. And let's just be honest. They're trying to give Yang the shaft too. They're trying to give Yang the shaft. They really are. They really are. But let's talk about it. So Andrew is saying that he wants to participate in this next debate because the polls are showing that voters want him to. The polls are showing that voters want him in that next debate. Okay? So what the DNC is saying that Yang did not meet the polling thresholds to take part in the Iowa debate. The final one before the state's caucuses early next month. So this is a big one. This is why I was saying, out of all the debates out of that he's been in, this one was significant, okay? But Yang's claiming that the lack of polls conducted since the previous debate gave little hope for him to advance, and it's true. And, I hate identity politics. I really do. I really do. But
thanks, guys. Without you, I never would have found my booty.
Yes, there's a but. Yang was the last of the candidates of color on that debate stage. If Yang's not there, then that's it. Right? All the rest of the candidates are as white as a sheet of paper. Personally, I could care less about the candidate's color or race or gender. Those things to me, honestly, come dead last. It's policy that is important first. It's policy that's front and center. But that being the case, their fucking policies suck on stage. So you've got a double negative. You don't have the candidate of color up there, fine, whatever, okay, fine. But then everybody up there has just shitty ideas. Shitty ideas. Obviously, I've said this many, many, many times, on my channel. Obviously, a lot of you don't agree, and that's fine. But I like Bernie Sanders. I just don't think a lot of what he's aiming for is going to be implemented. If anything, you're going to get half measures of the things he's asking for. And I get it. Shoot high, instead of immediately aiming low, and maybe you'll get, some of what you're asking for. But, I'm just being honest. I don't think he's going to get a large portion of what he wants to pass. But I like Bernie Sanders. Got it. Amy Klobuchar, Joe Biden. Seriously? Pete Buttigieg? Seriously? This is who we have to deal with. This is who... It's going to be so boring. It's going to be boring. It's going to be the shit everyone was tired of. It really is. It really is. And I want to hear Cory Booker shouting from the stands. Cory Booker, your Twitter should be on fire. It should be lit for Andrew Yang to be on the debate stage, right? It should be, right, Cory? You were bitching and moaning that you couldn't be on the stage because now it's going to lack candidates of color. Andrew Yang went on that stage and he voiced your message on that stage. He's not going to be there. I hope your Twitter is lit in favor of Yang being on that stage. I hope so. I really do. But Yang, he had unsuccessfully asked the Democratic National Committee, the chairman to be specific, Tom Perez, to commission more polling to make up for the lack of surveys over the holidays. That's fair. That seems like a fair question to ask. That seems like it's not too much. That seems like it's not too much to ask for, in my opinion. And I know I'm biased to Andrew Yang. I get it. But that doesn't seem like he's asking for too much. If the DNC had only done their due diligence and commissioned polls in the early states, Andrew Yang would certainly be on the debate stage next week. We are not going to allow the DNC to dictate who they wish to see as the nominees and deny the will of the people. And this came from the campaign chief, Nick Ryan. And he's 100% right. He's 100% right. If you don't think the DNC has their favorites and they sort of want us all to follow their will like puppets on strings, then I got a bridge to sell you. I've been saying this before. They don't want Yang. They don't want Bernie. They didn't want Tulsi. They didn't want Marianne Williamson. They, they'll be fine with a Klobuchar, a Buttigieg, or a Biden. Now listen, Pete Buttigieg has no chance of winning. Pete Buttigieg will not win. I don't care what any poll says. Pete Buttigieg has, 2% of the black vote? You will not win. You will not win. And I think they know this. And there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do to skew that. You have 2% of the black vote, and I think I might be being generous. You're not going to win. Pete's just not going to win. So that's just not going to happen. So, Klobuchar and Biden look like they're their favorites. And, if you look at the Iowa polls, if you look at the polling in general, it's going to be neck and neck with Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders actually, in the last Iowa poll, showed that he was the front runner. And news outlets everywhere lost their fucking minds. They're like, these polls can't be correct. I mean, they've been correct. They've determined the last 6 presidents, but these polls cannot be correct. Like, they're not fucking having it. But you cannot tell me that if this was, I don't know, and I don't have any evidence to support this, I'm being completely honest, that if for some reason it was Klobuchar and, she sent this out, that they wouldn't have made an exception. I just feel like they would have. Again, I don't have any fucking evidence to support this, but I just feel like they would have.
You saw it. They don't have the evidence, and
the DNC, of course, refused Yang's request. He commissioned his own polling by companies the Democratic Party has used before. Now, their polling, if you remember dealing with Tulsi Gabbard, their polling has always been like really, really weird, and it's come into question. And like at times, Tulsi should have made a debate that they just said, nah, we're not going to use that poll. Yang used the polling for companies the Democratic Party has already used before, and they're like, nah, I'm not using it this time around. Insanity. The unbiased feedback that Yang got from these polls showed that Andrew Yang is on the rise and at 5% in Nevada and New Hampshire. The issues that will decide this election and the future of our country are too important to ignore for the sake of a staged political bickering. The DNC tried to run the same play in 2016, like I just said, and they paid for it with the lost in the general. They're aiming to do the exact same thing. they're aiming to do the exact same thing. They're saying, let's do this test over. Hillary lost, let's do this test over. Let's get somebody who's pretty much the same as Hillary. Let's get a Biden and let's just do this test over. Let's run this test over and see how it pans out. Listen, you're not going to tell me Joe Biden excites anybody to want to get out and vote. Now, I get it. There's some vote blue no matter what people. That's not me. That's not. I can't swallow that. I'm sorry. If I don't fucking like you, I'm not going to vote for you just because we happen to be in the same party. You have to be saying some shit I want to hear. You got to be... A candidate should earn your vote. I say this over and over again. Don't be sheep. Don't be a zombie. I know there's some vote blues no matter what. I get it. I understand. Especially this time around because a lot of people detest Trump so much. But you got to earn my vote. You have to earn my vote. And in this last election cycle, in this current election cycle, I should say, there's only about 3 or 4 candidates that I could actually cast my vote for. The rest are just status quo. They're just business as usual. Do you really, really think a Joe Biden presidency is going to be that much different from a Donald Trump? Will it be better? Yes, it will be better. But it's not going to be that much different. It's really not. You're not going to have the mean tweets. You don't know what's going to happen as far as war goes. War is one of the most profitable things this country has. Do not be fooled and think that, oh, well, we're fine. We won't go into another war if we get somebody besides Donald Trump. Do not be fooled. Man, they denied it. So, 6 of the 13 Democratic White House candidates are set to take the stage, and that's Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer made this debate. Now, I've had people in the comments section saying, Steyer's not as bad as I thought. And maybe he won't, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not as bad as you thought. But he's bought his way into this election. Let's just call it what it is. Why did they take him serious to begin with? Because he's a fucking billionaire. That money earned him credibility. And if Tom Steyer's on that stage, Andrew Yang should be on that stage. So there's a channel called NECN. I never heard of them before. They don't have a lot of subs. I think they have 640 subscribers. I just hit 2,700. But they do have a video on their channel, which at the time of this upload has hit 121,000 views, casting a shadow over anything that I've put out. If you look at the rest of their videos, not too many views, not anything outrageous, which makes sense because they have the 640 subs. But this video that they dropped was actually about Andrew Yang. And it said, Andrew Yang hasn't qualified for the next debate. Here's why he's not worried. So it's a quick interview. It's not long. But I found it fascinating. And we're going to watch that and come back.
The best possible version of January for us, where we have events all day long, voters in New Hampshire and Iowa trying to figure out who to support. So this is ideal. I get energized by it. I don't think this is a warm-up for anything. This is the real thing. This is crunch time.
Take me through the progression of an Andrew Yang foreign policy take. Who are you talking to? How do you develop it?
I'm happy to have a number of incredible people advising me on foreign policy, including Ian Bremmer. And so I have calls with them when something unfolds. And often, I'm happy to say it aligns with my own opinion and judgment on how we would best approach a problem. On foreign policy, to me, we need to listen more to the American people. 75% of Americans want nothing to do with a war in Iran. We need to push the power to declare war back to Congress, where it belongs in the Constitution.
Let's talk about the debate, and we talked a little bit off mic about it. It's not really about a lack of diversity anymore. It's truly about a lack of fairness. I mean, the number of polls between the last debate and now are so few. What's your stance on it as we stand today?
Well, we're making our case directly to voters here in New Hampshire and in Iowa, and my campaign is growing faster than any other, where we raised $16.5 million in the fourth quarter, 65% more than in the previous quarter. So while we'd love to be on the debate stage if there were polls actually seeing what people thought here in New Hampshire, at this point we can talk directly to voters. We have the resources to do so, and we're going to be on the go from now until voting.
But it does hurt. I mean, not being on the stage is not a positive, right? I mean, you'd rather be on the stage than off it.
Of course. We've been thrilled to make every debate up to this point, and we'd be on this debate stage if we just had more polls that show our continued growth here in New Hampshire and in other parts of the country.
You've done a lot of creative things, whether it's taking questions for 24 hours straight or doing what have you. Do you have any idea what you're going to do on debate night to try to counter program?
Yeah, the team is working on some kind of programming possibilities if we don't get the polls this week.
I want to ask you about Dave Chappelle. Can you, to the degree you can, take me through the progression of how that came about, where he's going to perform for you in South Carolina?
So I'm thrilled to say that Dave's team reached out to our team, and they were thrilled to put the two of us together. We sat down and met, talked about his concerns about the country and what we need to do for the next generation. Dave's a dad like I am. And then after we met, he said, look, I want to help. And what can I do to help? And of course, on our side, we were like, we'll be thrilled to have your help, Dave. And so we asked him which of the early states that he might want to perform a couple shows to benefit the campaign. He chose South Carolina, which seemed like a perfect fit. So we're going to be announcing those dates very shortly. But that's the way it came together. And I've been a huge Dave Chappelle fan my entire adult life. I quote from his skits periodically. And so to me, he's one of the premier artistic voices of this generation, and we're thrilled to have him as part of the campaign.
I can't say that I was ground floor in terms of covering you.
You were close enough.
But I was relatively early. But you know, we talk about you on the show a lot, and some people push back on a lot of the conversations. They say, well, he enjoys the celebrity, but I'm not sure how much he wants to be president. And I'm sure you've gotten that before. And you know, one thing our audience hasn't received is a response to that question.
That's so interesting. So I've been running for president for the better part of 2 years now, and certainly anyone who is in it for the wrong reasons would not have campaigned in Iowa and New Hampshire 24 times each when no one had ever heard of you. I don't care about anything but solving the problems of the American people. I'm a parent first and foremost and a patriot. I just want to help move the country forward. You can take or leave the rest of it. I'm actually very uninterested in ceremony and a bunch of those things.
You have the money, you have a very passionate base of support. Is the focus now just between now and Feb 11th, Iowa, New Hampshire, Iowa, New Hampshire, Iowa, New Hampshire, and is that your 24/7 focus?
It really is. We have to move the needle in Iowa and New Hampshire, but we also have Dave Chappelle performing in South Carolina. We have some fun things going on in Nevada because we plan on being here the entire spring, all through primary season. We're seeing strengths all over the country. And thanks to the Yang Gang and the $16.5 million, we have the resources to compete the whole way.
So there you have it, folks. This NECN interview confirmed Dave Chappelle. But I still feel like it's not getting enough traction. I feel like it's not getting enough heat. It's not big enough yet. I guarantee if I were to go to any of my African American friends, if I go to the barbershop, if I were to go anywhere, and I said, hey, did you know Dave Chappelle's endorsing Andrew Yang? They will not know. They will not know. So this hasn't gotten enough light shined on it. This hasn't gotten enough coverage. When Chappelle performs for Yang, maybe closer to when it actually happens, closer to the date, closer to, the situation in general, it'll blow up more. But you're not hearing any mainstream media talk about it. Think about that. You have Dave Chappelle pretty much endorsing Andrew Yang, and that's not, everywhere in all the media headlines. If Dave Chappelle came out and said, I'm endorsing Bernie Sanders, you'd hear about it. If Dave Chappelle came out and said, I'm rocking with Joe Biden, you'd hear about it. You'd hear about it to the nth degree if Dave Chappelle came out and said, I'm endorsing Elizabeth Warren or Pete Buttigieg. You would hear that nonstop. With Andrew Yang, it's not getting a lot of headlines. But, fear not, fret not. I think the closer it gets to, the actual, date when Chappelle performs or what have you, I think more media will pick it up and talk about it. So, just very interesting interview. Again, a small channel, NECN. I don't even know if it was them necessarily that conducted the interview, but it might be because on their page they have like a ton of interviews with different candidates, but they get like 150 views, 140 views, nothing crazy. They're definitely not making any kind of, money off of YouTube for sure. But this one happened to blow up. It's at 123K. When I looked at it earlier today, it was at 111K. So this thing's it's taken off. And it's just good news. It's good news for Yang. I'm glad to see he's not in a funk about not being on the debate stage. I still think he'll keep momentum. I think somebody was telling me he's going to live stream during that day. He's going to do a live stream, which would be interesting. That's actually a really good idea, to live stream at the same time the debate is going and see how much traction he gets to his live stream, which can be looked at as those are eyes that could have been watching the debate, which are now watching Yang, and you could have had those eyes watching the debate as well. So I like it. It's a good move. So what do you guys think of, again, this has been in talks for a long time. A lot of people have been talking about Dave Chappelle endorsing Yang for, weeks. This isn't like a new thing, but this just, confirms it. This confirms it. So what do you guys think about that? And what do you guys think about the DNC saying no to Yang, about the debate, and Yang calling him out? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you don't, let me know in the comment section why. I'm always down to talk about it. I have a Cash App, a PayPal, and a Venmo link in the description below. Please feel free to donate to the channel. Every little bit helps. It all helps my channel grow. Hopefully I'll be talking to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the